Hey everybody, we are doing our Wednesdays with WiFly live this time, not pre-recorded. Just to give you guys a bit of an update, I made it home back from Bali. It was quite the journey. It was about 3 days getting home, and I've come down with a cold, so I'm a bit run down. I'm really tired. But yeah, so I'm back in Canada for the holidays. Then I'll be going to LA and Vancouver, back to Bali. I might hit up Australia on my way back. So I mean, I've been in Canada for a few days and it's so cold, and I'm so ready to just to get back to the warmth of Bali. So we had some of you submit questions to us, so thank you very much. These questions were actually the ones from last week that we didn't get a chance to get to, so I'm going to answer those. And again, put your questions that you have in the comments, and I'll answer them next week. So let's just dive into it. I'll try to make this one much shorter than our other videos. I know they're quite long. So the first one is a two-part question from Mohammed, and he says, so for someone that's doing the 9 to 5 job and wanting to get a remote job, do you need to quit your job first and then apply for remote jobs? Okay, so I would say no. Do not quit your job. I would not recommend quitting your job until you have something lined up. So you have two options there. As you are working your 9 to 5, you can be applying for remote jobs and interviewing. And then once one of those remote jobs, once you get an offer, then you can then transition away from your office job and take the remote job. That being said, to be honest, applying for remote jobs take a lot of time, energy, effort, and it's very competitive. Not a lot of opportunities are even posted. So what I would suggest to you is, oh, am I still live? Okay, good. So what I would suggest to you is, to be honest, I remember when I was applying for remote jobs, it took me 3 months and I was just not having any luck. And, oh, do we have a, sorry. Yeah, I was applying for a remote job for 3 months with no luck, and I thought, oh my God, if I just spent that time and energy building my own brand, I could have at least got some sort of a client by now. So while you're doing your 9 to 5 job, you can apply for remote jobs, but to be honest, I would probably use your time and energy to reach out to potential clients. And I mean, I could go in a whole rabbit hole of the right way to reach out to clients and how to get clients and all of that, but I'll just keep it simple to answer your question. I would definitely keep your 9 to 5 job until you've landed a remote job, at which time you could transition over. I mean, for me, I obviously did things a bit differently. I went to Prague without a job and a one-way ticket and just tried to figure it out. It depends how much risk you're willing to take on, how much financial cushion you have in order to do that. Applying for remote jobs could take anywhere from 3 to 6 months, so just be aware of that. I'm getting some dings here. I wonder if, sorry, okay. All right, let's go to the next question. So Mohammed has another question. How do I figure out which skills are good enough for a remote job? So this is a great question. I remember when I first was exploring the idea of remote jobs, and I was overwhelmed at the idea of, oh my goodness, all of these jobs are really technical and I'm not technical. Like, I'm not a developer. Like, how am I ever going to get a remote job? But what you need to look at is there's a few ways you can go about this. First of all, you can go to the sites that post remote jobs, such as Flex Jobs, Go Remote, Remote OK. There's a bunch of websites, I've talked about them multiple times, that you can go to where you look for remote jobs. So I would go to those postings and see what kind of skills they're looking for. And then you can measure yourself and say, okay, do I have these skills? And if you do, great, that's a good fit for a remote job. And if you don't have those skills, then you can spend the time to develop that skill set. Sometimes you need to upskill in order to go remote. It can be a long process. If you don't have the skills required for remote jobs, don't be afraid to take the time and, develop those skills. So how to figure out if my skills are good enough for a remote job? Another thing, again, going back to if you were to become a freelancer or do your own thing versus applying for a remote job, it all comes down to, okay, is there a need for what I have to offer? And there's a few ways you can determine that. I mean, one way is looking at, okay, what does everyone come to me for? So when we had Daniel DiPiazza join us on WiFly Nomads, what he explained was his girlfriend's brother or something like that. He had this pickup truck, and he was always the guy that would move everybody. Like when they had to, move houses, he would like pack everything up in his truck and move them. So eventually he realized, I'm the go-to guy for this when everyone's moving. So the next time someone said, hey, can I borrow your truck? I need to move. He was like, okay, yeah, I'll be $60. And they're like, okay, great. And then all of a sudden he had a business. So determining what your skills are, consider, okay, what do people come to me for? Another thing is looking at, okay, what are people paying for? So say you're looking at your skills. For me, I'm doing, like, my background's marketing. I'll just use that as an example. So if my background's marketing and I want to know if my skills are in line with a remote job, I can go online and just search, seeing if people are hiring people online for marketing. You can look at places like Yelp offer good insights because you see which businesses are, I guess, in demand. Google gives you a lot of insights in terms of like what is in demand and whatnot. And again, I know I'm kind of going into the realm of if you were to start your own business or become a freelancer. Let me just see here what else I had. Okay, how to figure out if my skills are good enough to get remote jobs. Yeah, I mean, another thing to consider too is there's going to be the skills such as, okay, designer, developer, marketer, writer, and developing those skills. But there's also the other skills that are almost very important, maybe overlooked for remote jobs. And that is that, remote companies, and I've talked with people at Automatic and Flex Jobs, people from their team, and they mention oftentimes the importance of the skills such as communication, being a self-starter. There are more soft skills like that are very important to working remotely. So I mean, I would look at, if you have those skills, I would highlight those skills. We do have a blog post. I'll try to send you a link in the Facebook group, The Grind to Greatness. Anyways, also, I really apologize. I'm honestly so exhausted. I've been doing like morning to night working. So I'm pretty tired. So I hope that makes sense. Sorry, I'm going on a bit of a tangent here. Okay, so I'm going to go to our last question here. And this is from, I apologize if I'm getting your name wrong. Suvai? I think it's Suvai. Would you have ideas for going remote for travel photographers and videographers? Okay, this is a bit of a tricky question because that's technically not remote. Remote is when you are in the way of when we talk about digital nomad. Being a digital nomad is essentially you are working from your laptop, you bring your laptop anywhere, you don't need to be in a physical place. As a photographer and videographer, you need to physically be somewhere filming in order to do your job. So that is a bit different. To be honest, I'm sure there are photographers and videographers that travel around and just do their thing on perhaps a tourist visa. To do it the right way, technically, you should be getting a visa for every country you're going to if you're a photographer and videographer. So this gets into the realm of actually working in a different country versus being a digital nomad and working from your laptop, because you're physically working in that country versus working off of, like, you physically are doing your job in that country and need to be there versus a digital nomad where you're on your laptop. So in terms of going remote for a travel photographer, videographer, I mean, perhaps you can expand on that in the Facebook group Grind to Greatness, because I'm also not sure I completely understand the question. But what I can say is technically you wouldn't be going remote. Sure, you could travel around the world as a photographer. I'm not sure that all the photographers and videographers are necessarily getting the proper visas, but technically you would need a work visa for every country if you're a photographer and videographer. That being said, if you wanted to go remote and you're a photographer and videographer, perhaps what it is it's creating a brand online. You can build a brand from blogging, YouTube videos, whatever it may be, and then perhaps you're earning your income from online courses, I guess like online courses, or maybe you're editing photos for people. There is a way to make anything remote. I've even seen one for, you would never think a plumber could go remote. And I remember seeing a posting where a company needed a plumber to do their blog posts because they had the knowledge to do the writing, and it was a remote position. So if you get creative, anything can go remote. So in the sense of photography and videography, if you wanted to go remote, I think it would be more about building a brand and getting creative in ways of which you can earn money. I mean, if you had a blog and it was talking about photography and videography, you could have affiliate links in there to like different cameras and equipment. You could sell an online course. So yeah, there's a few options there. All right, guys. I'm also getting used to Facebook Live. So thank you for your patience. I know I'm going to get more comfortable with it. I see a few of you are on now. I can't figure out who that is. Feel free to say hi. But yeah, I hope that answers. Again, I'm sorry for the rambling. I'm very tired. I promise I'll be more full energy next week. Please send through your questions to us. Put it in the Grind to Greatness Facebook group, or email me at kate@wiflynomads.com. Every single Wednesday, we are going to be answering your questions. Hey, Romina. Let me see what you're saying here. Interesting points about the photographer, videographer. I think it depends on what you are photographing. I know of some photographers that get gigs through Upwork and they photograph products. The companies send them their products and they shoot where they want. That's a good point. So if the company is sending you the product and you're shooting, but it really does depend on what you'll be doing. There's so many possibilities and options, as you said. Yeah, absolutely. There are so many things. It depends on like what you're shooting, where you're shooting, whether you're building a brand, whether you're actually physically taking those photos and videos, or whether you're just building a brand off of the idea of that. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Thanks for joining. I know a lot of you will probably just be listening to this after. Anyways, I'm going to wrap up today, this Wednesday with WiFly. I know this one was much shorter than the previous ones. I'll try to keep them a bit more short, quick, to the point. And Mohammed and Suvi, I believe that's how you say it. If you want to elaborate or expand upon the questions that you asked, if you have follow-up questions, drop them in the Facebook group, shoot me an email, and I'll get to them for next Wednesdays with WiFly. Anyways, guys, have a good rest of your week. You're going to be hearing lots from Imran and I. I hope you're having a great day or night wherever you are. It's really dark and cold in Canada. I can't wait to get back to Bali, but I will talk to you guys soon.